Hi, and welcome to this webinar. We're just gonna give it one more minute to make sure that everybody has the time to join in, and then we'll get started right away, as soon as possible. But thank you all for joining us so far. Give it maybe a couple more minutes before we get started.
It's Monday morning.
It's Monday morning, exactly. We gotta have some patience these days.
Merry Christmas,
Yeah.
Monday morning.
Christmas Monday morning. True.
So how are you guys doing?
Good.
Big Christmas plans? The big ones?
Secret plans.
Secret plans. Ooh.
Still working.
You are Santa. I always knew it.
I actually saw a good Santa movie.
Yeah.
Red one.
Oh, that's fun, actually.
It is.
That's a fun one. How are we looking? Let's go. Yeah. All right. So let's go. A warm welcome to this webinar this Monday morning, where we're going to talk about some Innovate and Upgrade, featuring our beautiful partners from Dell, from Microsoft, from Intel. My name is Alexander Johansson. I work at SYNNEX with Windows and AI PCs as a focus. And today we're going to have a lot of cool hot topics from our wonderful partners that we work with. But just for the introduction of this, this webinar is a big part of what we call at TD SYNNEX our Speed Up Challenge. So if you are joining us in this webinar, you will get some extra bonus points or in maybe more value in Swedish krona or the danske krona as well. So just by joining us, you will get an additional 10,000 Swedish krona, and for the Danish side, 6,400 krona. And this is a big boost in the competition just by joining us. And if for some reason you haven't signed up for this Dell Speed Up Challenge yet, you can still do so. We have an opening all the way through here until, is it January 31st? We're going to have this whole segment through, so you can still join up and you're going to get accredited all the way back to November 1st. If you join up now, we got some really cool prizes, a trip down to Austria for a ski trip for 4 days, which is not a bad idea to do. That's always welcome for us. And just to reiterate a little bit about just TD SYNNEX, we have had some additional people come in, especially on the Dell side. So we have a new one in Sweden called Jenny Petersson, who is our Dell specialist, inside sales specialist. So we can get in touch with her, get some more information, get all those deals and bids and regs and whatever you need from her. And for the Danish side, of course, it's still Mikael Mathiasen, who can contact for that part as well. So we got a lot of strength in that one. Now, to our wonderful so-called guests, even if we're in Martin's house here at Dell in Stockholm, but from Microsoft, Anders Demner, from Intel,
Pamina
Camilla
Carmela.
Camilla, and from Dell, Martin Silva. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you
And
for having us.
I think we're going to dive right in here, starting with you, Anders, at Microsoft. Something you and I have been talking about for a while, you have been talking about it a lot longer, is the Windows 10 end of support. And what does that mean? What will happen? And what do the customers need to do when we're talking about Windows 10 end of support?
Yes. So I've been out, talking about this for maybe 1.5 years now, and now we're actually getting close because it's on November 14th, 2025. Then Windows 10 will go end of support. And end of support, it means so much more than, end customers not being able to call us asking for things anymore. The most important thing is that there will be no more security updates. So Windows 10 end of support actually means you can put yourself and your business at a risk if you stay with it, because there will be no more security updates. And of course, your end customers need to consider this. And I also think that everyone needs to consider that it might take a bit longer time than you initially think. So if you haven't started, or your end customers haven't started yet, you need to start doing that, doing a plan, doing some testing to see how Windows 11 fits in your organization. So start now if you haven't done it. That's my point. And if I can add just one thing about Windows 11 and comparing Windows 10 with Windows 11, if there's one thing to carry with you, is that Windows 11 has so much better security. And we all know how the phishing attacks and ransomware are exploding, increasing by like 1,000% every year or so or more. So yeah, it's really increased in security. And we also see organizations that have implemented Windows 11, they see up to a 60% decline in security attacks. I think that's a proof that Windows 11 is a much more secure operating system, and it's right out of the box.
Right.
So you don't have to do any major configurations. It's there when you open the PC.
Exactly. That's a great point. That's a great point. And we also have about 80% fewer in the help desk. Correct. As well. So it's a lot of points, and that's a good point to have, just because when we move from Windows to Windows to Windows, we've seen it before with XP, Vista, 7, 8, 10, yes. All of those. You might not actually see it, what it is. That is the next thing, because Windows 10 and Windows 11, they look a lot alike.
Yes.
We got the start bar in the middle, and it's a little bit fresher, but this is probably the biggest upgrade when it comes to what actually happens behind the curtain.
It does. For sure, yes. So it's under the hood, so to say.
Exactly.
And also, I can also add that, for example, if you went from Windows 7 to Windows 10, there was a lot of software and apps that actually didn't work. That is not the case between Windows 10 and Windows 11. Because when we launched Windows 11, and it's 3 years ago, already then, 99.7% of all apps that worked for Windows 10 also worked in Windows 11. So we did some major changes there, making sure that you should have a smooth transition when it comes to your software.
High compatibility.
Yes.
And also adding to that, if you have those small parts of application that you cannot really move,
yes,
we can help out. Reach out to TD SYNNEX, and we can help them migrate the applications. It's not many, but there might be some internal applications that's not official, so to say, an internal application in the end customer. We can help you migrate that for the customer.
Yes.
I think that's very important also to add.
Exactly.
We're here to help you with that, because you really need to move your customers to Windows 11.
Correct. And speaking of new and cool things, it's not just software that stuff happens. We got a lot of cool stuff happening with hardware as well. And there's a lot of buzz around something called an AI PC.
Yes.
Now, what is that, Anders?
Yes, what is that? Maybe I could bring up a slide here.
Sure.
Did that one? Okay, good. First of all, just a definition here. Maybe we will come back to this. This is how we at Microsoft now see, the PC landscape, where we have, traditional Windows 11 units, and then what we called AI PC, and then something very exciting called Copilot PC that I think we will come back to. But I think what makes an AI PC is mainly that it has something called an NPU. the neural processing unit, which takes care of all AI-related tasks in a PC. So I would say, yeah, it takes care of what we are encountering now, or what we for sure will encounter, the coming months, years, when AI will come into our daily work life at a very steady pace, so to say.
Exactly.
Yes.
And we will get in more on that just with our experts talking about the hardware and what we have enabled and what's possible within that.
Yeah.
But now we're talking about the TOS, we're talking about the NPU,
yeah.
We're talking about the AI PC, which is more of a general term. But then you have with Microsoft, we love adding new words, changing names, you name it. And in this case, we have another thing called Copilot, but this time a Copilot Plus.
Yes.
And to simplify it as much as possible and not confuse it for something else, how would you describe this?
So a Copilot Plus PC, it's about the new segment of PCs. You have the AI PCs with these NPUs, and we'll come back to the NPUs. A Copilot Plus PC is a segment of PC where we at Microsoft have put this standard. And in order to be called a Copilot Plus PC, you must have an NPU that delivers at least 40 TOPS. Also need to have at least 16 GB of RAM and 256 GB of hard drive. Then you can get validated for a Copilot Plus PC. And of course, you get a very fast PC that is not only fast with AI, it's fast in general. So we get confused sometimes talking about only AI, but actually it delivers very much value in normal working also. But you also get some extra features in Windows if you have a Copilot Plus PC. So through Windows Update, you will actually get more apps and more features in some apps. On the screen, we have some examples of it. For example, Recall, which has not really been launched yet. It will be in the insider program now in December, is what I heard.
They had to recall it.
Yeah, we had to recall it. That's true. Due to security, actually. So we didn't believe it could be as secure as we wanted it to be. So then we never released it.
Exactly.
So Recall is a new way of searching for documents or things you have been working on, where you actually just ask AI, hey, can you show me the spreadsheet where I worked on the forecast for Q3? And it will bring up some suggestions on that. Also, more effects and filters in Windows Studio effects. I mean, we all are sitting in so many Teams meetings. And of course, you want to look good in those meetings. So we have applied some more filters and effects there. And a ton of other features and apps also. Some very much image related, but also live captions that can actually, not only in your Teams meeting, but in your daily work, live translate from any language into English. I know English, but it will come. So they're working on, of course, more languages, and it will, through Windows Update, it will add more and more languages into the live captions.
Exactly.
But important to remember, it's not like you get Copilot for M365 for free or something if you get it. It's a matter of a new segment of very fast, intelligent, and secure PCs.
Exactly. It's extra AI embedded right onto your computer and in Windows.
Yes.
So Copilot is just the name, Microsoft's name for AI, which they make.
Of course, of course.
But then we have all these other cool companies that are starting to really get on with the market and expanding, and everyone is looking at the next AI. So the thing to take away here is that we can have an NPU, we can have AI directly on the hardware, and that makes it a lot easier and a lot faster to work on AI products, no matter who has created it, so to speak.
Yes.
Yes. Would you like to show the next slide as well?
Just I can do. And this is, sorry. The next slide is just to show what an NPU, can do, because we at our engineers, they made a software that should identify individual faces in a video stream using AI. And as you can see, the NPU, it delivers like a clock. While the GPU and CPU have to work, and you start the fans start to work, while the NPU just delivers. And the reason being that it does what it's built to do. It's built to take care of these tasks. Moreover, when it does that, it also allows the CPU and GPU to do what it does best. I see this working on a non-NPU device, that when my PC then starts to work with AI-related stuff, you know, it feels like the CPU and GPU really have to do stuff it's not intended to do. So the NPU, yes, for AI-related tasks, and it really does its job good, definitely.
Awesome. Shall we switch companies and switch a little bit what's inside the hardware, look a little bit deeper with Intel?
Let's talk about actually NPU and what Anders said from the software perspective, from Microsoft perspective, and let's take a step into our laptop, into the silicon. So normally, like 3 years ago, 2 years ago, you had your CPU, you were working on your laptop. Maybe it had integrated a GPU card, and 2 years from Meteor Lake, 2 years ago, Intel came with an idea, or Intel came to the market and said, okay, let's do this. Let's add an extra AI accelerator into our silicon. So we have integrated NPU, the neural processing unit, into our silicon. So all of these that you can see, GPU, NPU, and CPU, are in one silicon. What NPU is actually doing, what others said, it takes the AI workload and handles this AI workload on NPU. And what does the end customer get out of that? It's very simple. Lower power consumption, so better performance for all of your endpoint. So imagine that if you are on a Teams meeting, if you are not plugged into any power charge, so your background, your AI workloads that happens to be like your noise suppression, the noise background. So all of these are AI workloads. All of these will be handled from NPU. So battery life will be increased. And this is actually one of the business cases that we are talking about, and I'm talking about. NPU, it's not like will solve all of our problems, but will increase the battery life. Whatever we were discussing for many, many years is what I need: better battery life. I'm out on the road. I'm working on another office, so I need battery life. NPU is here to actually handle this, to enhance the battery life, and to help handling the AI workloads. So this is actually what is happening inside of your PC. When Microsoft comes with an idea, let's do the Copilot Plus, let's do the Copilots, let's put some extra AI workloads on your PC. Intel comes with a more powerful silicon, adding NPU, and of course enhancing the performance, the overall performance.
Awesome.
I can talk a little bit about Intel strategy.
Please do that.
Actually, NPU is one part, and it's a hardware. It's from the hardware perspective, where we have the advantage, and when we think and we are superior from in the market is that we have an open ecosystem. We are compatible. We are cooperating with more than 100 ISVs in the market, and we push our compatibility with all the applications that actually have AI and handling AI workloads. So as you can see in our slides, in my slide, is actually what I'm saying. We are cooperating with all the OEMs. Dell is one of them. We are cooperating, and our roadmap has more than 100 ISVs, major ISVs in the market. And obviously, of course, we are developing and enhancing our silicon. So this is pretty much our strategy. And of course, we are cooperating, and our major partners with Microsoft and Dell, obviously.
Exactly. And for Intel, how does the commercial product portfolio look like at the moment?
So
oh, you had a slide prepared. Oh.
Yeah, yeah. I thought that you will ask.
Awesome.
So Anders said that you're confusing the market. Copilot, Copilot Plus, and then we are coming and confusing more the market with plenty of SKUs and plenty of code names. So I will try to oversimplify what is happening now and what it's going to be in 2025. So currently, if you don't want an AI PC, if you don't want to invest in an AI PC, however, I said that maybe this is not the right decision because you're going to be bulletproof, future-proof for the technology that will come in 2-3 years from now. Then you have to make an investment in Raptor Lake Refresh, Raptor Lake Refresh S, which are the non-AI PC generation 13, generation 14 for our desktops and laptops. And now we are going back to the AI PC discussion. Copilot Plus, T-tops, what the end customer or your businesses should do, where you should push your customers to invest and buy. Copilot Plus comes for Intel-based PC with the code name Lunar Lake or SKU 200V series, Intel Ultra 200V series. So if you want a Copilot PC that actually meets the requirements of Microsoft, go and focus to Lunar Lake SKUs, code name Lunar Lake series 200V. For the rest of your PCs, desktop and laptops, for 2025, focus on the rest of Ultra SKUs. Our code name is Arrow Lake. You will find different flavors and different SKUs based on your needs. We also introduced the first desktop AI PC with code name Arrow Lake S, and then the rest is just a refresh of the first series of our Ultra CPUs, so Arrow Lake code name, and then series 2 for specific SKUs. So this is pretty much how you should move. I hope that this is a little bit easier to digest it. And obviously, if you have more questions, you can go to SYNNEX, and then together with us, we can try and support your business needs.
Exactly. I have one more question for you, but before we do that, if you all have any questions, please, I forgot to tell you the early one, please put them in the chat, and we'll sort through them at the end and answer all of your questions if you have any. So please do that. But one more question for you.
Please.
You have a very cool thing called vPro Technology.
Yes.
Do you have maybe an example of that? Like we who are in the business maybe have heard something in the lines of something that happened with CrowdStrike?
Yes. So vPro Technology is right now the most relevant technology for the business and the companies. So what is actually doing? vPro technology comes with a specific SKUs, the vPro SKUs, and the technology behind vPro is the AMT technology, active management technology. So what AMT and vPro does is enables the IT administrator to remote hardware manage the devices wherever the vPro devices, wherever these devices are located. So during the summer holidays, I suppose it was July, August, I think that I was sunbathing somewhere in Greece. And I was checking the news, and then they said the news, oh my God, CrowdStrike incident, security breaches, and the geeks, we are calling this incident the Blue Monday because of the blue screen in the PCs. So it was Blue Monday, yeah. Fun fact, then the companies that had vPro activated, we have published a quick fix, and within, I don't know, 1 hour, 2 hours, all of the PCs that had vPro technology were up and running without anyone going into the PC, going to the PC and fixing the PC physically. So everything happened remotely because of the hardware manageability. So whatever happens to your PC, even if you see blue screen, if the Windows cannot, I'm sorry, it's not happening, it's not openly happening, but at some point, yeah, we can still have access in our PC with vPro technologies. Again, if you have questions about vPro, if you have a customer that buys vPro SKUs, but they haven't activated the technology, please go to SYNNEX, go to Dell, to Microsoft, and then they will come back to, or come to me directly, and we will help you and support you into every step of activating this technology.
That's awesome, because this is a feature that really innovates. And this is something we're looking at in a lot of different areas. How much can we do in the pre-game so we don't have to just run around and putting out fires everywhere? Because that's what takes time for everybody, for the end user, for any administrator, for the support, for everybody. So if we can make this happen in as many places as possible, it does a lot for a company. Bonus?
It comes free of charge. So, I mean,
we should end with that, but I have one more. I have one more guest with me here today, so we'll come back to that. So, give you the clicker for your.
But it's very important because vPro has been around for many years.
Yes.
And customers have very often in RFPs, etc. They've been asking for vPro, but they didn't use it. Mm-hmm. They didn't really activate it, and they don't use it. And they think it's very tricky to get started. It's difficult, and
it was tricky like
exactly.
5 years ago, yes. But now it's very easy. It's super easy to activate it, and when you are in need of vPro, then you need to enable it. You don't need vPro and this remote hardware manageability every day. Let's be honest. But at the point that you will need it, like when COVID happened and everyone took the laptops in their homes, and the IT administrator wanted to access these laptops, they couldn't because they were outside the firewall, company's firewall. But with vPro, we don't have this type of obstacles. So at the time that you will need it, you need to have it. So, yeah,
and the number of phishing attacks and ransomware attacks, it won't decrease. I mean, it will only increase even further. So this is a really good opportunity. Looking into Windows 11, looking into new technology next year, definitely look into vPro. I should look at you. Definitely look into vPro. No, seriously, this is super important as part of this whole refresh that we're talking about. Well, a little bit today, of course, also. But it's a big year next year.
Exactly.
And I want to, before jumping into my slide, I want to also mention that, I mean, AI PC, it's not here to replace a heavy workstation. We talk about heavy AI loads, etc. It's more for us normal users traveling, working in the office. Here is where you see the biggest benefit right now.
Exactly.
In a couple of years from now, 3-4 years from now, yeah, maybe there's a discussion that the NPU will be so powerful so it can handle CAD applications or drawings, heavy rendering of video and pictures and so on. But right now, it's for us normal users.
Exactly. And a big part of that as well that we didn't even mention is, since it's integrated into the hardware, you can basically use AI offline.
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't have to go to the cloud anymore just to find AI. So we got a lot of that, and that's going to just develop in the coming years as a major part of it.
Yes.
Did you have something?
Yeah, no, I was just going to mention that even though we don't realize that, we are using AI in PC in our daily life.
Exactly.
So even if you don't have M365 Copilot or something, you might still be using Teams, and you might be using, noise cancelling and background blur, and then you're actually using AI. And this will come into more and more apps, not only us at Microsoft, but other software manufacturers also. So I think that's one thing to remember, that we are using AI even though we don't realize it.
Exactly. And even if you're using just something as free Chat GPT, you can actually ask it for more advanced stuff and get more out of it because the computer can handle it all of a sudden.
But I want to actually go back to this slide that Mina had, because there's one thing here that's so important. It's the ISVs. Because looking at the application side and how to actually use the NPU, this is where the applications come in, because not all customers are using Copilot yet. Not all features are released yet for Copilot either. But I truly believe that more and more customers will use Copilot going forward. I had the chance to try some of the features. Maybe some of you also tried some of the features. It actually increases your productivity. It's super. Some of the features you mentioned here are super nice to have. Summarized meetings, summarized documents, creating PowerPoints, at least giving you a start how to create a PowerPoint. And then you can do your flavor to it and add whatever you want to add to it. But here's the important part with the ISVs, that where Intel is actually leading this completely in the market, because the ISVs, or the software vendors, are already ready for the NPU, and now also the Lunar Lake NPU, which is a much faster NPU. And here's the I think the most interesting part, or the most important part with the AI PC, is that it actually moves the workload from the CPU or GPU sometimes, but CPU especially, to the NPU, giving it better battery life, giving it better performance. And one example I normally use is for security softwares, for example, where normally you have BitLocker, and you have Defender or other like antivirus applications. That's already 2. Then you have a VPN most likely. Then you have perhaps applications looking for well, it could be child porn, etc. Applications always looking always working in the background, looking for this information. You have perhaps even further encryption softwares, and at Dell, I think we have 5 or 6 or maybe 7 applications, but I know customers having up to 30 security applications running on every PC, because the level of security is super intense in those organizations. But you need to be able to work with the computer also. And these security applications, for example, an antivirus application normally uses CPU when looking for a virus. So sometimes up to 20% of the CPU is used just for looking for a virus in the computer. Now with the NPU, this is moved to the NPU. So only 1% approximately of the CPU is actually looking for the virus, but the NPU is doing the rest. Meaning you will get like 19% more performance in the CPU to do whatever you do as a user. And here's the best part, I think, with the AI PC so far is this. But it has to be, it is dependent on the application to actually using, and is written to use the NPU. And here's where Intel collaboration and yours at Microsoft collaboration with the ISVs and the software manufacturers to actually really be ready for it.
Exactly.
Yes.
So back to you and back to your end customers, go to your end customers, tell them, go ask your software manufacturers, unless you are delivering the software, of course, to them, are they ready? And if they are, the step to adapt and start using AI PCs is very small.
Yes, correct.
And if you only have, which no customers really have, but if you mainly use internal softwares that you need to migrate yourself, we can help you migrate them to Windows 11 and to use the NPUs also. And I think that's an important message to understand, because even though we talk about Copilot, Copilot Plus, AI PC is not dependent on Copilot. It has so many benefits still, and it's dependent on the applications.
Exactly.
And I think also it has been so much talk about AI the last year and so many events and things. Even though there's so much discussion about it, we have just opened the door.
Yes.
So
baby steps.
Yes, it's baby steps. So we have not seen, the big usage yet, with everyone. But that will come. And as I said, it will come even though we won't really notice it. I guess you have a very good point, Martin, because a lot of ISVs and software developers will incorporate AI related things into their software that we might not even think of.
Exactly. And a good point to add on to this one. We're talking about AI. It is the future, it's going to come in the future, but the future is here as well. We have just opened and tried it. But with all this technology that we have from Intel, from Dell's new computers, all of it, the technology is here today. And we can use it and we can get a lot out of it. It's going to be an arms race with everybody. We know that for the coming years, but the technology is here. So look at it today, see how you can invest. But most importantly, invest now, because the technology is here. And these computers, when we're talking about X amount of TOPS, which is trillions of operations, if we didn't say that, how fast they are, even with, we're talking about 40 for a level of a Copilot Plus PC stamp to get that one. But even with something like 10, 12, 16 TOPS, is still more than twice as strong as what's without an NPU today. So we can double that power very quickly. And there's a lot on the market today. There's a lot on the market today, I should say, just to get that out there. So don't look at something that's, oh, we'll get there in time. It's here, just like Windows.
Yes. And on
Windows
that
11.
topic, also think about second-hand value. Because, I mean, if you purchase a PC now, you will replace it in 3 to 5 years. And if you don't have an NPU device now, that will be worth so much less for trade-in than if you have something with an NPU. Because I don't know this, but I guess in 3 years' time, will there be anything without an NPU? I'm not sure of it, but
Probably not.
No,
Probably
yeah.
not. And that's from the financial standpoint. And then there's also, maybe Martin, you want to elaborate from a sustainability standpoint as well, with all these new computers, with how much they can actually handle.
There's actually one more thing I want to add.
Sure. Add on.
And it's actually regarding the NPU. Right now, everyone is chasing TOPS.
Yeah.
And I think that's dangerous a bit, because right now, Pamina mentioned Luna Lake. That's the next generation coming after the new year. But we already have AI PCs. We had AI PCs since March or April, March this year. And it's also very important, back to the applications, I think we should soon stop chasing TOPS.
Yeah.
And look at the full platform TOPS instead. I think we will start communicating platform TOPS, or we could perhaps say full TOPS also. You should see different naming for it. But what it's about is the GPU and CPU also really has TOPS.
Yeah.
But we don't talk about it right now.
It's actually the measurement unit of how the silicon handles the AI workloads.
Exactly.
This is the PTOPS. So if you sum all the PTOPS in a silicon, for example, in our Lunar Lake, it's up to 112, if I'm not mistaken.
120, I've seen also.
Yeah, 120 PTOPS in total. So.
And what's so interesting with that is because that's up to the application to decide which processor will actually work and do the work.
What at Intel we are doing, it's not only the 100 plus ISVs, but with our OpenVINO, a software stack, we are trying to optimize these applications to choose and run in the best part of the silicon the workload. So this is on top of what we are trying to do and where we stand in terms of strategy, AI PC strategy.
Yeah. So I think that's very important to add also. But to answer your question, I think it's a combination really of the sustainability part, what Anders also mentioned, and back to the battery lifetime. Because if you purchase or if you sell a laptop today, if you sell one with Raptor Lake that Pamina mentioned here, which does not have an NPU, the price or the price when it comes back in 3 to 4 years, it would be much lower. It's not worth as much, and then you need to perhaps recycle it. And yeah, well, it's good that you recycle because you really need to get those systems back into the loop. And also part of the refresh now, when you're now selling an AI PC, please take back those older systems because we need them. If they are good looking, so they can be used again, yes, we will give them a new life at somewhere in some country, in most likely Africa, etc. Normally uses our PCs as a second life cycle because you don't need the same power yet in those countries. But if they are not as good looking, so you cannot really reuse them, we need to have the material.
Yeah.
Because we need the material to create new PCs. Because we cannot take new material from the ground or from wherever we take it and create new pieces. We need to use old material from old PCs. That's super important part of the refresh. And I mean, all Forrester, Gartner, IDC, everyone is saying that next year will be the big refresh year. We said it for this year. Yeah, well, it wasn't really this year. But next year, all of us will have a lot to do to refresh the PCs out there with our customers. And then take back program for all of you working with that. You need to start pushing it even more. Otherwise, you at TD SYNNEX have take back programs also, I believe.
We do.
So please use that program then. And then also, Pamina mentioned battery life for the users. Also, we are extending, not we, but together, we are extending the battery life. I would almost say doubling it, but almost. So you can expect 2 to 3 days of actual work on a PC or on a next generation AI PC or Lunar Lake, for example.
Lunar Lake, the enhancement of the battery life, it's crazy. For Lunar Lake, it's extraordinary.
Yes, and then you don't need to charge the battery as often. Some colleagues that already have started to use them, they don't bring the charger when they're traveling because they don't need to. The battery life is so extreme in these new platforms. So in that sense, it won't use as much energy also. Awesome. So I think there's a lot of topics around sustainability that we normally don't talk about, I think. We focus on the tops and performance. But not the backside, but the other side of it is that you can really use it for sustainability discussions also.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. And something that really puts a fire in your soul is the actual physical laptop. Is that something you'd like to talk about as well?
Yes, absolutely. Now, an AI PC, it doesn't have to be super fancy, like a big, super duper Superman computer used by a super secret organization. No, it's a standard laptop. But for example, I mean, we have on one of these pages our RUG laptops, AI PCs. So you can actually run AI applications on these also. And then we have the XPS, which we have. This is actually the first device we have with a Lunar Lake CPU. It's in stock.
Do not throw this one.
No, not this one.
I was not ready for that.
No, but this is the one we have already. And we've done some impressive testing the Lunar Lake against the Raptor Lake and also against the Meteor Lake that you didn't mention, but the current platform. And the performance is amazing. And it's available already. And a lot of things will happen next year, or also, of course, but it's already available. And our ultralight PCs, the 7450 in this case, it's available already, and it's in stock. So you don't have to wait for something new all the time. It's already available. And as we said, if you buy it now, the residual value will be much higher than if you don't have the NPU.
And it's a latitude that everyone's accustomed to. They've been buying these for years, and now all of a sudden, We got an extra processor in it.
And you see it. I can't show it in the camera, but there's a little Copilot button. I don't know if you see it on any of those pictures.
No.
But there's a little
small one.
yeah, it's a Copilot button on the keyboard that will show it's an AI PC.
Yeah.
So even though you're not using Copilot, it's still ready for Copilot when you will start using Copilot, which I believe most customers will.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we're talking about Copilot, but there are flavor of so many different Copilots. So I mean, you have the Copilot for M365, for example, but you have it for Azure, for example, and then you also have it in your Edge browser, and it keeps, you know, evolving as we speak. So I think Copilot, I mean, it's our combined word for an AI at Microsoft, more or less, and it will be incorporated into more and more things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what's coming, you know, around the corner, but Copilot, yeah, it's here to stay.
And if you're not using AI, the Copilot button can be adapted to open anything like Teams or Outlook. So it has a purpose to it as well. Anything more to add? Something to leave the people with?
But from my side, I think we only just started.
Yeah.
So right now we have the NPU. And at Dell, I mean, most of you perhaps have heard about the Dell AI Factory and we go all in on AI. So even though Dell AI Factory it's a big framework for analyze and structure and use data for AI applications or AI workloads of different kinds, it also comes down to the PC. So even though it's this time of the year when I really can't talk about everything that's going to happen next year, but we will see a lot at CES from Dell. So CES is the big electronics, consumer electronics show, I think it stands for, in Las Vegas in the 6th and 7th of January. You will see a lot of things coming from us. So stay tuned for that. If you have the chance and if you are awake, you're doing the night for all the what do you call it? All the releases. You can definitely look in because the next time we meet and talk, I will definitely explain what's coming. But I can tell you that we are working a lot to actually use the NPU on a much broader scale that we use so far.
Yes.
So right now it's a nice thing to have. Next year will be need to have, really, in order to stay ahead of competition. For your end customers to stay ahead of their competitors.
Yeah, I agree.
Super important.
And I think if I can add something, I mean, I've been selling PCs for 25 years or something, and we're coming into a new era. I've been pretty good at doing it, you know, talking about CPU, RAM, graphic cards, and so on. But I really need to change myself and talk about NPU, talk about TOPS. And I think this is something for all of us where we're going into a new era where we have to talk about new things. And AI and NPU, it's here to stay, whether we like it or not. It's here to stay, definitely.
Final words?
Final words. Merry Christmas. No, actually, I totally agree with my partners, Martin and Anders. AI PC is here to stay. I'm also selling 20 years PCs. And for me, it's like a fresh air to talk about something else, something better, and something that is here now, but in the future, it's we don't know how it's gonna be transformed and how it will transform our lives. So I was watching some videos last night, and it was something like I really want to happen. Instant translation in your ear, and I'm struggling with the Swedish. So for me, it's gonna be like, I need all the flavors of Copilot Plus, all the flavor of AI PC, all the flavors of AI in my real life that could actually help me be better, be smarter, and also be a little bit lazier, as I will not have to, start my PowerPoint from the beginning, or just, putting my future ready with refreshing the PC. Also, the security, it is a big part of the AI PC because many third-party vendors applications will run on NPU and will utilize the AI to actually understand how the ransomware is working and will stop these attacks. So refresh now, be future ready with an AI PC.
Awesome.
And now happy holidays.
Exactly. So with that, our dear friends, step into the Thunderdome, join hands with Skynet, bring AI into this. Thank you so much for joining us, for listening in. And as we've been saying throughout, if there's anything you need, please don't hesitate to contact us. We are more than happy to help. And hopefully we'll see you soon.
Yes.
And with that, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, Feliz Navidad,
Feliz
all those stuff.
God jul.
God jul. Have a good one.